We're going to talk about an all-time 11 later on in the show.
Yeah.
But I want to pick out a few legends that you spoke about. The first man that you mentioned in your Legends team that you played against was Eric Cantona. And the second person you put in there was Roy Keane, then Schmeichel, Pallister, Dennis Irwin. Manchester United legends of the game. What did we see at Newport this afternoon? Because, you know, it's such a difficult thing for any of these players to come into Manchester United, the dynasty that is, and to try and, you know, fill these boots. But I'm not seeing the Cantonas, the Keanes, anywhere, any of the personalities, the characters from any of these Manchester United players.
They might have some skill, but there's not the will, and there's what I can't stand about them is no encouragement of each other. There's always, and it's the most derogatory thing you could ever do is shrug your shoulders and lift your arms in the air, and you're more or less telling the crowd, "What's the matter with you, mate?" You know, when you don't get what you want. And for me, Man United were driven by a man who was obsessed with the club's bigger than you, mate. And what Sir Alex thinks about these people now, I really don't know. They've got the wrong set of characters. Someone's got to look at who's signing all these players, because they are not wearing that shirt with the pride that they should. And it's a little bit of a mess at the minute. You know, they won. Yes, they won. They came back. They did win today. But, you know, over-celebrating for goals against Newport. Do you know what I mean? Wow, what was that? You got a belter yesterday, mate. I bet you didn't celebrate it like they did.
It's funny you should say that, yeah. Yesterday, Saturday afternoon football, I scored a nice goal from outside the box. I think my team celebrated more than I did. They've gone over there with dyed haircuts and...
Yeah, but what about the two... yes, Sir Alex had some problems with David Beckham when he became sort of uber famous and God knows what, and his hairdos, but your two wingers, I probably wouldn't let them play. You know, what you're doing with that bar. It's not hair envy either, because I haven't got any.
Nor have I. If you don't want to see our hair, we're on YouTube, come see our bald heads.
It's an attitude problem, honestly, and Man United have never had that. When did Sir Alex ever sign a bad attitude player, a player with a wrong attitude?
That's right. He might have signed players that might not have made it at Manchester United, but the attitude was never an issue.
And if he didn't like their attitude, he would get rid of them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? At the minute, the whole dressing room's full of them. Do you know what I mean? I just don't understand what is going on, the recruitment.
But this predates Eric Ten Hag, so we can't really put that necessarily on Ten Hag, because, you know, there was always the talk of Pogba. And then even like with the Jesse Lingards of the world and that, and just these players that were so busy off the field and doing, you know, all of the extracurricular activities, so to speak. How does someone get a control of that dressing room? Is it the captain? Because should Bruno Fernandes be having more of a word, or does this come down to Ten Hag? But he's isolating players like Sancho, that we've seen what's happened with him, and now something's gone on with Rashford at the weekend. Who knows what's going on there? It's a mess. Yeah,
it's very difficult when you have to dig someone out in public. And Ten Hag has had to do that, you know. Jose Mourinho started to do it with certain people in that dressing room as well, you know. So these are long-term problems. And Sir Alex wanted a very good friend of mine, David Moyes, to take over. And in my honest opinion, he wasn't given long enough. No. He hardly ever signs a bad character player. And he deals with them, and he makes him a better person. You know, the thing is, you've gone bigger and bigger and bigger. Now you have a whole array of wrong ones, you know. And Bruno Fernandes, out on that pitch, he should be leading Manchester United when it's not going well.
Because there's no doubt Bruno Fernandes is a quality player, because at times he does some quality football.
Yeah.
However,
but we're not talking about that. We're talking about leading others.
Absolutely.
Do you get what I mean?
And when the chips are down... When the chips are down and you're looking around for someone and their facial expression is, that's not going to inspire anyone. Manchester United fans, especially those that are travelling home from the game, it's your club. We want to hear from you. This is our perspective. This is what we're looking at. And, you know, Ian Holloway's played against the Manchester United legends that we're talking about. You told me that you stepped on that pitch and it was scary sometimes seeing the likes of Roy Keane.
It was, the whole thing was scary. Do you know what I mean? and I had the strangest feeling ever. We were 2-0 up at Man United. I hadn't even touched the ball. I said, lads, keep it away from me. We beat them 4-1 there, and it was shock.
Yeah.
You know, Dennis Bailey scored a hat-trick. It was a total shock, but Sir Alex gave his wingers a rest. Giggs and Kanchelskis and his team weren't ready. It was amazing, but you always knew you would get them angry.
Yeah.
And they would come back, and you almost didn't want to upset them. It was quite unreal, you know. But that comes from a will, as well as the skill. And at the minute, I see a lot of skill, but I don't see a will when it's not going well.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.